It's time for the GZ Chop Shop podcast. Each week, hosts Project Itachi and War Nurse bring you the latest in the gaming and tech industry, from the hottest releases to the juiciest scoops, while breaking down all the things you wish you knew. Now kick back, relax, and prepare to have your mind blown. The GZ Chop Shop starts right now.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the GZ Chop Shop. As always, I am your host, Project Itachi, joined by my good friend and co-host, War Nurse. And we have a very special episode lined up for you guys this week. We are going to go slightly off the beaten path and talk about something that actually we've conversed about
we've talked about quite a bit, and it's definitely a topic of concern for a lot of people, apparently.
Yeah.
The Modern Warfare 2, it's the best-selling COD so far, which makes sense. It cost more.
Yeah, it does.
So, I was telling someone the other day, I was like, yeah, of course it beat all the records. And I'm not saying this like the game's good or bad, but of course it beat the records because less people could buy the game, but the game's more expensive. So it's either going to even out or be, break some records, like $70. But $70 well spent. I personally like the game. I'm enjoying it, except for the audio part. The crossplay audio can be a bit of a pain, but I'm enjoying the game. But we have seen a lot of people online kind of pressed about this game, man. In particular, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say newer gamers, as in gamers that have picked up gaming the past few years. So all they know is kind of the more modern style of first-person shooters and multiplayers. And streamers seem to be pretty pissed about this game. And I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I've reiterated this a few times. A lot of these streamers are not good at gaming. They're not good. What they have are good personalities, which is important when you want to be in, show business, radio, TV, streaming, any kind of multimedia platform. You want to be personable. And maybe they have a lot of other things that factor into it. But you don't have to be good at video games. And a lot of these people that are good at one or two games, and they stuck with those 1 to 2 games, and they've been playing since maybe Modern Warfare 1 was remade and came out back in, I think it was 2018 or 19. I think it was 19. But yeah, a lot of these streamers, they're not good at games. What we're seeing is a lot of the veteran players are getting on, and they're doing really well with this game. Because when I say veteran gamer, I mean someone who's been gaming 15, 20 years, maybe more. And they were around in the early 2000s when COD was brand new and the movement style was closer to what it is with the new Modern Warfare here that people are complaining about. So we have people that only know how to play the most recent types of games, and they're not able to pick up a controller or grab the keyboard and play most games fairly decently. And I'm not saying when you're a streamer, you should be good at games. I'm saying the people that are complaining are simply not good at picking up a variety of games and being decent at them.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you because one of the things I always fuss about, and a lot of people, and this is what ticks me off too about some of the content creators, not all of them, but I want to say certain influencers, is they've tried to normalize the game mechanic exploits that they use in other games to dominate, and they want them to transition to every game they play. And one of those pinnacle ones that became really popular in Halo, which makes sense in Halo, it's a sci-fi shooter, is bunny hopping.
Yep.
And crouch strafing. Now, Call of
Duty
is
fun. I'm not going to say it's not fun.
Yeah, but it works in that game because it's a futuristic game. We don't know what futuristic combat would be like. It can be whatever we want it to be. It's an imaginative thing right now. But Call of Duty has always tried to pride itself on being a grounded game. No one goes to paintball or mil spec simulations or anything and is bunny hopping corners.
Most Call of Duty games have been, like you said, grounded in some form of realism. That's kind of what they're known for.
Yeah.
And once they started adding, I think it was Advanced Warfare that really kicked kick that play
Yeah.
style off. And even though they got rid of like the little jump jetpacks and boosters and stuff, and kind of lessened the slides and stuff a little bit, the slide cancels and all that, it never really went away. It kind of became a trademark in Call of Duty games. And now that this new Modern Warfare 2 dropped, they removed a lot of those mechanics, and it's more grounded like before. And there's still some bunny hop, and you can't really remove bunny hop. And hell, I bunny hop sometimes. But yeah, these people, you know, they're really just angry because, like you said, they're very used to those mechanics.
Yeah, and it sucks because they will base their whole view of the game on that, and they have such an influence. And I was before we did this, you know, start recording the show, I was reading some Reddit threads, and it's funny, you can literally find anything on Google. So I just typed in streamers having too much influence on games, and man, people have been complaining about this since like 2015.
Yeah, it's been an issue.
Yeah,
it's been an issue.
And there was one thread I said, well, let me read the most recent thread and see what people say. Now, it's funny how you will watch the transition from 2015, where people will say yes, to now where streamers really, I believe, have the most influence, to suddenly saying, no, I don't think they do. And the funny thing is, at first I was like, man, maybe it's just me. But then I had to realize how many people have gotten into streaming. And to be told that, you know, you're basically becoming the enemy. So everyone's holding on to the hope that one day they'll be famous. And if someone finally came out and said, you know what, streamers have too much influence, we need to change this, it scares them. The idea that having that influence removed scares them.
That goes back to close to this time last year, like early January, when we were talking to Wild 4 Games, and he was saying that the biggest, not to go off the track here, but just to, you know, piggyback off what you're saying, that the biggest problem a lot of streamers have is being afraid of change that could possibly make their content better. They have one system, they stick with it. That's all they know. They're in their comfort zone, and they're not going to go to any other platform, make other stuff. Like, they're just doing that one thing, hoping for the best.
Yep. And the fear of change keeps them from growing.
Yeah.
You know, and then they plateau out. And it's the same thing with, you know, with Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2. I also enjoy the game. The few gripes I have are some graphical gripes. Like, I have actual, you know, game mechanic gripes, like, you know, get the audio situated.
Yeah.
Actually release the full game.
Dude, I was losing my shit over that audio the other day, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yep. It was so funny being able to talk shit and you couldn't say anything.
I had to get in Discord like, look, motherfuckers, I hear everything you're saying.
It's just like, oh, that sucks. But, you know, like actual game mechanics and the things that I've seen, like, you know, and Byrne was talking about it too. Like, people are talking about like, oh, you know, that they were done with Call of Duty because it didn't have Halo-like movements. And I'm like, because this isn't Halo. This isn't Fortnite. Once again, proving the point of how much content creators have influence. Some people say no. I lean strongly into yes. They have too much influence on the game, because if I see a patch come out, a quality of life patch, adjusting any of the mechanics, I 100% blame that on the influential streamers. Why? Because you've got these big streamers. 2020, Modern Warfare came out. It blew up because we were all locked down. So you had people like Nick Hacks and Tim the Tatman playing Warzone. They are a huge part of why Warzone rose to the popularity it has right now. Because watching them do all the crazy stuff they did with the in-game movements and mechanics and whatever, one of them taking out a whole squad solo, it tells you, the gamer, even if you can't do it, your competitive edge gets sparked and you think you can do it. Because they said, this is the best gun, this is the XYZ, this is the best drop. And people imitate it because they just want to be as cool or as popular as the person they were watching. So they do, it's the copy and paste mechanic. And we've seen it with other games as well. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is very niche, but how many people started copying Rivers of Blood builds? Just so they could win, because someone somewhere in a position of influence said, this is the ultimate end all be all build. If you're not running this, you're garbage. And people copy and paste it. And now it's the same thing we're seeing with Call of Duty. These streamers are getting upset that they're getting their cheeks clapped and they're not used to it. They're getting wrecked by people who aren't streamers. They're wondering why their 360 no scopes aren't working. They're wondering why that bunny hop gets punished by someone like me, because I've punished many people that have bunny hop the corner. They bunny hop and I just cave them in the chest and I just look at them like, what were you doing? What are you doing? and I go on and take out the rest of the team. And it bothers them because this kills their YouTube montages. You know, watch this 360 no scope bunny hop corner, one bullet kill whole team BS. They actually have to be good at the game.
You know, it's
kind
of
of
like
used to that.
You know, and we kind of have an issue too with, you know, people who enjoy watching that kind of stuff. And it is like, that stuff's really cool. Like I love watching clips of people doing like really cool badass tricks and stuff. But, you know, when so many of us see that stuff and that's what gets our attention, and then we come back to the new Call of Duty that is, you know, like we said, a little more grounded and less crazy mechanics, and there's kind of more like being cautious and stuff. It's not as bam, 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 quick, fast paced in your face quite so much. So it kind of loses that attention of wanting to watch it, because it's harder to pull off a lot of those trick shots and those cool abilities.
Yeah. So where I stand, I think we agree on this. Content creators do have too much influence on the game. So do you think Activision is going to make any adjustments to it because of this outcry? Because there's some who've literally been like on stream, nope, game sucks, and deleted on stream, which I think is kind of stupid.
I can't think of any games where like they had to do a patch that changed the mechanic of how you play a game. Like they'll change like ability, like they'll change like weapon damage and handling, nerf guns, buff guns, stuff like that. But I've never seen any game put in a patch that changed the mechanics of a game to the point where you couldn't even play the game the same way. So I don't think they're going to do much. Now, just like any game, yeah, they're going to nerf and buff certain things. They're going to make little changes here and there. We're going to get patches that add and take stuff away. But yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything that's going to change the mechanics. Because I mean, at that point, the game is set in place. Like it's set in motion. To change the mechanics of a game like that it's going to take a lot more than just a patch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, maybe they'll just tell everyone get good.
Yeah, now it's the people that were told to get good saying to the other people to get good. I guess.
And they've already broken records, so it's not like, you know, basically as far as they're concerned, the streamers have served their purpose. They've run their course. You've made our game popular. So, but yeah, you know, we wanted to touch on Call of Duty a little bit because actually next week we're going to have a avid Call of Duty player and a return guest, good friend of the show, the Bullet Maiden. She's going to be joining us to, you know, talk about Call of Duty. So, you know, we'll get a view from someone who's played pretty much all of the Call of Duties and her view on, you know, the mechanics and if anything needs to be changed or whatnot. So that's definitely going to be an interesting conversation. So make sure you guys tune in for that one next week. It's going to be really, really good. But what we really want to talk about, since we touched on it, is the streamers. And this has been something, like I said, we've been talking about for a while now. And I have a deep gripe with it. And I'm a streamer myself. And I've played many, many different types of games on my channel. And sometimes, even to me, I just have to, you know, one, like we were talking about, I have to admit to myself that sometimes I'm just not good at a game. But one thing I've also noticed that streamers do, I don't know whether they do it subconsciously or they do it because they know they have influence, is how they sway people to play a game. Like not only, and I'm not talking in just terms of sales, but literally how a person plays that game. And a perfect example coming back to it is Elden Ring, or even with what's another one? Oh, here's a good example. God of War Ragnarok drops today, right? How how much you want to bet if you go on YouTube right now, someone has already got the full game, beginning to end, all spoilers, everything up there. And a lot of people, thousands of people will go and watch it. So you think to yourself, this is the issue I have. I say, okay, that actually annoys me because one, as a content creator, if you're not a big content creator and you don't have these sponsorships and you don't have, all that backing, so you have to take, your time putting out content, it is hard for you to get into that field because all of these other streamers or gamers who find loopholes are posting entire games day one of release, the whole game, or even before. But most of them are smart and post it the day of so they don't get hit with a lawsuit. But beginning to end, I feel that is not a good thing for the gaming market in the long run.
Now, someone might argue, if you don't want to see the spoilers, then don't watch it.
Yeah, which is totally fine, except it will flood the media. It'll flood it. I literally don't go looking, but right then I'll go, like today I was on YouTube. I didn't care about anything about God of War Ragnarok, but right away I already see tons of videos for it. It hasn't even been 24 hours and there's tons and tons of videos. And I'm like, I'm 2 steps away from one that says, here it is at the end. And
it definitely takes away from the feeling of beating a game, even if it's something as simple as God of War, where it's kind of linear and you just got to follow the storyline, and you'll struggle here and there, but it's pretty straightforward and whatever. But it really takes away that feeling of being able to complete a game on your own without any assistance. There was a point in time, if you wanted help, you either knew a buddy that beat the game and they'd help you out. Right. But they'd be like, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You got to do it, or you would go buy a magazine, spend money on that magazine, and it's a walkthrough. And then you would, platinum the game that way. But for the most part, you kind of had to go in raw and get really good at the game. Yeah. And now everything's just on the internet, and there's no, unless you force yourself to do it. And you like, I absolutely refuse. Like, it's too easy right there on the internet. You can just go, how do I do this thing? And then it'll just walk you through the game.
Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure at some point, we've all done it, but it's to the point now that people base whether they buy a game on content creators. A lot of people argue like, no, I still go and buy the game. True. Now, how many of those games that you watched your favorite content creator play and you're like, I'm going to buy it, did you finish? Yep. Because on PlayStation, they have a trophy system, and it tells you the percentage of players that have gotten that trophy. Now, most games, you get a trophy just for beating the story, usually. And I'll look at the average for a game that was big on streaming. I was just curious when I said, let me just look at the average of PlayStation players for XYZ game to see the average of people that actually beat the game that they went and bought. They were like, yeah, I'll still get it. So on average, most people don't even get past maybe the second mission of a story in their games. They'll always get the first trophy. And that's not even everyone who's gotten the game. It'll be like 80% of the people get that first trophy. That's just for starting the game. By the time you're talking the halfway point of actually getting halfway through the game, you've dropped off to maybe 30%. If that's some random trophy just for doing some random stuff, you might see some numbers. But for actually a completion of the game, by the time you're talking the final trophy, you're down to like 20% of the players.
Just for the storyline.
Just for the storyline. Half of them don't even finish that game. Then
and
you
I can
ask
see
them,
what you're saying. Like the streamer themselves is the form of advertisement for the game to be pushed and sold. It doesn't seem like right now that's something that would hurt the gaming industry, because regardless if people are completing the story or not, or whatever,
the sales are made, right?
The sales are made, right?
Yeah. So here's my counter to that: the sales are made. It all seems good on paper. The streamers made the advertisement. The streamers, promoted the game X, Y, and Z. However, they're still losing out on money. And I think it's just bad business because of how fast they let the streamers put videos up. I was talking with Burn. He and I both agree. I said, when a game releases, the content for that should be like at least a 2-week ban after release before any video goes up. Why? Because the curiosity of that game, a streamer can talk about it like a spoiler free. I played this game. I think it's really good. X, Y, and Z. You guys are going to love it. Could still have just as much impact because people trust them. So they're going to take their word for it. Let the curiosity, because remember back in the day, that's what we had. G4, that was that was it. What, 5 minutes of watching gameplay was all you got.
That's a great idea.
Go to the store,
like
and get a game.
I see where you're coming from, but I think an issue that we'd see is, I've seen a lot of comments on social media that pretty much say what I'm going to say is that streamers should be charged for playing new games, or that these companies, when these developers put out these games, that games should, have to be, sort of rented to be able to stream via Twitch or Trovo or YouTube. And I feel like that's a really dangerous path. That's a dangerous path to go down.
That's a super dangerous path, because
the fact that so many people say that they want that, or that it should be a thing,
until it becomes a thing.
We got to be careful what we ask for or advocate for.
Yeah, because that's not going to hurt the stream. The people they want that to affect, it's not going to affect, because the people who they want it to affect, they didn't pay for their game. They more than likely got the game for free. They got sponsored. The company wants them to have the game to play to help raise their numbers.
Yeah,
so
don't
they
think for a second
that
Dr. Disrespect is paying for all those Call of Duty games.
No.
The man, matter of fact, before he was a streamer, a lot of people don't seem to know this. Before he was a streamer, he specifically worked on Call of Duty maps. Like, he helped build them.
So he's got a leg in the industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they say that the companies would probably okay it. They're like, yeah, that's great, because we give them this one streamer the game for free. You're going to pay for that. So we'll give all our big streamers, all our big influencers, those 5-6 people, the game absolutely free of charge, when we can make thousands of dollars off of all of you trying to be them. So we'll charge you for the game day one, and you pay us. And then we give them the money, and those, nothing changes. And then we've just dug ourselves another hole, and they weed out competition because people would fall off the platform after that, and they weed out competition. Those influencers that they want get to stay at the top, and life moves on, and more money is being made, X, Y, and Z. And we come full circle and wonder, where did this happen? When did it all go wrong? We did it to ourselves. But no, I feel like monetary don't involve that, but like maybe Nintendo the shit and put like a 2-week ban on brand new games. Nobody, no one, no influencer of any level of caliber can stream this game, put a video of this game up for the first 2 weeks. It would not hurt their sales.
I think that's the biggest thing that would keep them from doing it, is that the companies would not be willing to experiment with something like that, because we can speculate and make educated opinions, but we don't truly know how they go about making their money behind the scenes, and how they navigate their algorithms to make sure that enough people are buying this game. So in their minds, it might be if they did something like that and the streamers didn't have immediate access to play these immediate games for the first couple of weeks that they're out, that they would lose a lot of sales, and that it would negatively impact. It would certainly impact streamers like quite a bit, especially the streamers that, they only know a few, like a handful of games, and they're not variety streamers.
Which this is where, once again, bringing up the topic of Wild, this would hone people's skills to broaden their horizons. You have to break your comfort zone. If you get stuck in your comfort zone, you're eventually going to plateau out. It's going to happen. And a prime example of that, I don't know if a lot of people know this, Pokimane right now, she's in the middle of a rebranding. She wants to get away from game streaming. She happened to rise to stardom at the age of like 17 by being a really good FPS player, and it stuck. So she kind of made gaming her thing. But she wants to do makeup, and she's getting so much pushback because she wants to change her brand. She's a millionaire, still has her whole life ahead of her. I don't even think she's broken 30 yet. She's like 26 or something. And she wants to rebrand, and it's a struggle even for her. Pokimane. Been at it for like a decade. So because she never got to broaden her horizons, she's hitting all the walls, and she's an influencer. She has that access to things that we only can dream of. And she's struggling because she never got to expand soon enough. So if it's an uncomfortable thing, if it would make streamers uncomfortable, good. A table is not built on one leg. A stable one is not built on one leg. There's always extra foundation. I know some people are like, well, what about those tables at the restaurant with the thick leg and blah, blah, blah. Even lift that damn thing up and look at the bottom. There's extra foundations on it. You want it to be stable, you gotta have multiple legs. So when one gets weak, the other three take on the weight.
Streaming has changed so much over the years. It's so crazy to me how we went from Justin TV and G4 to Twitch to the partnership program. And I think it was 2011 that the partnership program came out. And then it just escalated from there.
2020 is the real year where shit got crazy because everyone was locked indoors and new people started discovering streaming, and gaming was the only medium that was not hurt by COVID. It thrived.
It was the best form of entertainment that allowed you to connect with other people without having to leave your home.
Yeah. And it worked out because gamers like us, we already knew what we were going to do.
It's funny how so many people went from saying gaming is stupid, anime is stupid, those things are for children. Bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah. And now look where we are. Like, streaming is an official line of work. There's coaches for esports, scholarships for it. We were in disbelief.
If someone had told me when I was, maybe before, during, when I was in the Navy, that the gaming industry would be what it is now and we'd have an esports and all that shit, I wouldn't have believed that. Like, what? Like, there's always been competitions. I did quite a few Halo 1 and 2 competitions when I was younger, but that's always been a thing. But a whole esports, like, that's wild to think about.
Yeah. And it brings in just as much as, if not more, than actual sports.
Have you ever been to an esports stadium before?
I haven't. I want to. I don't think we have one here yet.
I went to my first one a couple years ago with some good friends of mine. They invited me, and it was an Overwatch tournament. It was Dallas Fuel and someone else, but it was at a stadium, sort of a stadium, a small building. It was close to the Arlington Rangers, Texas Rangers, and the baseball stadium. And dude, it was freaking cool. It was like when they'd introduced the players and they won matches and like cool shit happened. Like, it was like a rave in there, and everyone that was there were just as excited as if they were at like a sports game. Like I'd see at a Rangers game or something. And it was just a really cool experience to me because that's the first time I ever saw a building of gamers like watching a competitive match. Like, we've all seen competitive matches with our buddies. Maybe you have like a gaming night, or maybe when you were younger, before online was a thing, you'd have your friends over and you do like a Xbox party or whatever. But that right there was an experience in its own. And just as a veteran gamer, I just thought it was so fucking cool to see that many people just that hyped over an Overwatch match. It was just really cool.
It's so funny because you look at some of the athletes, and I'm not cracking joke because I can't say this without cracking a joke at myself as well. I was one of those guys in high school, and it's like, man, they go to their schools because some of them they're still young, and their after school program is practicing their esports team cohesion. And then their school, they're probably the equivalent of what the football kids were when we were in school.
Yeah, in the eyes of gamers, yeah, absolutely. And you know, I remember about 2 years ago we had talked about the rise of esports and how I forget the company that was doing it. They were based in California, but they were basically getting high schools to add esports to their curriculum for people to do that, and that would count as a sport. And some colleges were picking up. And I recently read an article that it was like 45%. I think that was the right number, 45% or so of the country has now implemented esports in their curriculum, both college and high schools.
I like why couldn't that
2 years ago at the time when I talked about it, it was just a handful in the country.
Yeah. Dang you, COVID. You came too late in my life. I could have been an esports athlete in some way, shape, or form.
I've wondered, I'm sure I'm not the only one, like what would the world be like today in the gaming industry, in the anime industry, if COVID never happened?
We would still be a niche one, and this is the conversation no one wants to have. Half the people that got into streaming wouldn't have gotten into it. It wouldn't be as sexy. Like, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. It wouldn't be seen as sexy. It would be on the rise, but it would not be anywhere near as popular.
I definitely don't think I would be able to just walk into a Target or Walmart and see all the gaming and anime merchandise that has been a thing for the past couple of years. Because that came out of nowhere. I remember walking, I was like, Naruto. That shit came out in 1999. Like,
yeah,
I love the anime, but
yeah,
bro, that was like 23 years ago.
Yeah, no, seriously, between 2020 to now, gaming has had the all-time boom. A perfect example, Among Us. Among Us released in 2018.
Dude, I don't care what anyone says. I don't like or hate the game. That game became a worldwide phenomenon for the little amount of time that it was extremely popular. It was about 4 to 6 months that it was the game to play. Everybody was playing it and streaming it. You could find merchandise everywhere. That game became a nostalgic icon out of nowhere. And it didn't even come out in the year that it was popular. It came out years ago, like way before it blew up.
Yeah. Blew up during COVID. Everything we're seeing now is a multiplication. It's a multiplication of what was already there. All the stuff that's popping up, it was already there. It just got 10 times multiplied due to COVID, because all the outdoorsy types, all the people who are the social people, they lived and thrived off of being, attention grabbers, and they could go out and everyone gave them attention, and they didn't know what to do with themselves. They needed that. They were like, where can I go? Like, I can't go take my, pictures of my new Jeep, and I can't go to the beach, and I can't do X, Y, and Z. Gaming was a segue into that. Streaming was a segue to still fulfill that. I mean, look how much Twitch has changed in the last 2 years to accommodate all these different types of people that hit these platforms. And not even just with gaming. If we're talking in content creators and the influence in general, the OnlyFans.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking
the content, quote unquote, content creators on OnlyFans.
I don't
change the whole platform.
Had COVID not happened, OnlyFans would not be what it is.
It would not.
I don't really feel like it would exist.
So here's the thing. It would still exist. It would still exist for its audience that it originally was for, artists. Now they're buried because someone in influence said, well, sex appeal is an art. And then what did I say at the beginning of the show? Everyone copies.
Can we just take a minute to appreciate, and maybe we don't want to appreciate it. I don't know. I say appreciate because I think it's absolutely hilarious that when this was like, what was this, like a year and a half ago? Maybe it was longer ago, because I feel like the time vortex since COVID began is off. Like time doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Things that feel like they were 7 years ago happened a year ago. And I'm like, what do you mean? But it feels like, I don't know, like,
I think I know where you're going.
Basically, I'm trying to say that it feels like OnlyFans. Okay, do you remember when they were going to cancel OnlyFans?
They weren't going to cancel OnlyFans.
They were going to remove the sexual content. They were going to remove
certain things, and everyone panicked.
The entire country, people. I have never seen backlash. I have only seen backlash on that caliber twice. Sonic the Hedgehog, when we had to change the entire look of Sonic for the movie, and OnlyFans.
We got our 3 wishes. We've used 2.
What the fuck? Like,
we already used
someone summoned Shenron, and it was the version of Shenron that gives you 3 wishes, and they are all right. They get a pass on the Sonic thing. I understood it. Okay. But you wasted it on the OnlyFans thing, because I can think of plenty other things that Wish could have gone to.
Which was kind of funny because
it affected all of us.
The whole thing with the OnlyFans part, though, that made me side eye everyone. It was during the time that there was this big movement push to remove porn. Period. Like, there was this big push to remove porn off the internet around the time where OnlyFans was like, oh, we're going to remove stuff. And then it was, and it brought up that whole conversation where they were suddenly like, yeah, we're going to remove porn from the internet. And then they were like, yeah, OnlyFans is probably going to go away. And then everyone was like, wait, whoa, hold on now. And a lot of people probably think it was just the, subscribers. No. It was the creators that were like, this is our way of life, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, so it's an issue when it's free. You want the free removed because then it forces everyone else to have to pay for what they want.
I'd like to bring up another point too, and I'm just pointing this out because I feel like it's a bizarre system. So if let's say I made an OnlyFans, and God forbid I did that because somebody's eyes would bleed. Don't worry, I'm not.
Might pay for that.
I don't.
You might pay for the experience of eye bleeding.
Jesus Christ. There was a lot of people that were found out at work. Like, people found out that they had an OnlyFans, even though that they were, because it's very easy to find information about somebody. And if you don't like somebody and you want to find something out, and you can find out if they have something, right?
Well, so a lot of people say like half of the United States on average now has an OnlyFans.
Yes. Yeah. I remember we talked about this pretty recently, and maybe that's for another episode, people, but Jesus Christ, you wouldn't believe the statistics. And most of the OnlyFans are from America, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah. That's a whole other one.
My point was that these people were getting fired for having an OnlyFans, even if they didn't talk about it, they didn't, whatever. But then those same people could have online things. They could be gamers, they could be content creators. And as long as they didn't promote that stuff, and they don't bring that into whatever they're doing, it's completely fine. Like, they don't care. They're like, yeah, you're bringing in money. So I just thought that's such a backwards, like, weird system to me. Like, I'm not like, I'm very like either or on OnlyFans. I could give a shit, like, good for you. I don't personally give a crap, but I think my point is if somebody does something on the side, and especially if it's something that is like that, it's more frowned upon, even though the whole country fucking defended keeping OnlyFans. But then we turn around and fire people for having one, even if they don't talk about it and make it a thing at work. But then they can just go online and be a streamer, and nobody, Twitch is going to be like, there's a ton of Twitch streamers that play games or on YouTube that make other content, but then they have that on the side.
So here's a question. Now that you brought that up, and I've wondered this, do you feel the gaming community like definitely Twitch, because Twitch is a good place to find out. And I go and I can hardly find, I'm gonna just say streamer because I don't want to get hate. I can hardly find a streamer that doesn't have one attached. Do you feel the OnlyFans and the streaming are too intertwined?
Oh, 100%. 100. There's nothing we could do about it from what I can feel out here, but I do feel that there are a lot of streamers that would not be popular if they did not have an OnlyFans, and then people go watch them game, and it's not, and that's not to shit on women whatsoever. Like, I know some people might take that way, like, oh, I'm a woman, I can't have X, Y, and Z because of some other sexual shit. Like, fucking, I'm not saying that. I'm just pointing out like the fucking issue at hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel that they're too intertwined because there's so many different people that watch content creators on stream, and there's so many ways to circumvent, what parental blocks you may have, because a lot of people say, oh, well, just parental block. Okay, but
if you think parental block works on Twitch, you're a fucking moron. I would know, because I fucked with the parental blocks to let my kids watch YouTube and Twitch, and there's some fucking weird, creepy, inappropriate shit on YouTube Kids and on Twitch if you have the parental blocks set up. Like, it doesn't matter.
Because people know how to build their stuff to circumvent that. And it's all, it's computer algorithm. Yeah, it's the hashtags.
The hashtags are what matters.
And what happens is this person, you let them, your kid likes this streamer. And this person could be a gamer streamer. And I mean like an actual gamer streamer. I'm not talking about the just chatting category. I'm talking like they actually do game. And their links are available right under their page. If they also have an OnlyFans, they're not going to not advertise that. It's an extra source of income, revenue. So it's as easy as just go to your Twitch. Oh, you happen to have an OnlyFans. Click, and then boom, they're on your page.
You know what's weird about that to me? This is what's weird. So you can't have any links, and you can't have any promotional links, or like whether it's in your chat forum while you're live streaming or at the bottom, like the about me. You can't have anything on there that encourages or promotes the buying and selling of drugs, including marijuana or alcohol. But you can have an OnlyFans account.
Yeah, because
that's just fucking weird to me.
Because the catch to that is OnlyFans does not automatically mean it's sexual content related. That
is 100% true. When it was created, it was definitely with the intent of another platform for creators to utilize for their business and the things that they want to create.
Yeah.
And there are still people on there that utilize it for that.
And even the people that do that could still say that. Because if they know the history of OnlyFans, they could say, well, my stuff is an art form to me and my community.
But if I go to work tomorrow, if I went to work tomorrow and I was like, yeah, I have an OnlyFans, check out my content. And my OnlyFans was legitimately what OnlyFans was designed for to begin with. And it was just shit we do and gaming and podcast stuff and clips. I'd probably be fired.
Because they have to assume, and this is something I always tell people. I always say, look down the road at the consequences further down, and don't just get blinded by the instant rewards right in front of you.
And that's so hard to do. That's so hard to do.
It's hard to do because what people see right now is the instant monetary value. They think it'll pay off my college. It'll set me up for life. The money. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to do 5-10 years down the road when you don't want to do it anymore? And you don't want that as your legacy. You say right now, you don't plan on having kids. You say right now that you're all the things that could affect you, they're not going to bother you. Okay. You say that now. All of us have said that at some point. And now people who said they weren't going to have kids. They have a family to take care of. They wanted all of a sudden to do this corporate job. Things need background checks. Because of the way society is, even the minor jobs want to do background checks on you. So if you decide one day that you're done with the OnlyFans life, where do you go next? Your stuff is out there on the great beyond. Some people say they don't care. Cool. More power to you. But what's your next move?
Yeah, because I think what that ties into is what a lot of content creators struggle with. To kind of piggyback off what we talked about earlier is the creators that are successful, especially in streaming, they don't do that one thing. They have a net. They have multiple branches of things that they sell, they do, that and clips they make that go out to various platforms, and they make their money off all of that stuff combined, but not that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people really understand that unless you make it so big like Ninja or Dr. Disrespect to where money is like whatever, and you can retire for the rest of your life and then just keep doing that. If you can't see yourself doing it for 10 plus years and definitely making the money you need to make, what's your next step? Because there is no pension plan. There is no 401k there, like there's no plans and like, there's no stuff in place to help you build something financially for the future.
Yeah.
So unless you can do those things, and if you're just doing OnlyFans or you're just doing streaming or just YouTube or just TikTok and that's it, what are you going to do if that fails or that platform collapses? Because don't think they won't. We have we watched Justin TV, we watched G4, we watched Vines, we watched Facebook, we watched, I don't know if you remember Zanga back in the day.
I remember Zanga.
There was one that was before Spotify and Pandora. I can't remember the name of it, but it collapsed. It doesn't feel like it happens every year, but it does.
I mean, even TikTok is and forever probably will be in hot water.
Yeah.
At least in America.
And the point I was trying to make is none of these platforms are guaranteed to stay. Facebook's struggling right now, and it's very possible over the next 10 years, it might disappear. The social media platform might actually disappear because people aren't signing up and people are leaving for like TikTok and Instagram. And I think that's the saving grace for Facebook is that they own Instagram, and Instagram is still extremely popular.
Fun fact, side note, I feel another reason that they want to ban TikTok in the US, besides the initial reason, is because so many Americans are leaving an American established platform for a new platform.
Oh, 100%.
That is not controlled by America.
Because you know what? If it wasn't owned by another country, everybody would be like, oh, especially the older generation, oh, you can't cancel TikTok, whatever. Yeah. But
that's why Instagram copied how TikTok's layouts with their reels to try to bring people back to an American platform. And it's a losing battle, because if Facebook disappears, Instagram goes with it, Snapchat goes with it. What will they have? And then you have all the Americans on a non-American platform giving tons of information, which in a conspiracy theory, here's your conspiracy theory for the week. From a government perspective, playing devil's advocate here, I can understand their concern, because people do not realize just how much information you give with a simple picture and a simple reel. You pick this nice background, someplace, wherever, a beach, whatever, to do your dance, to do your video. One, we don't know all the workings of TikTok. We don't own it. All we know is there's an algorithm that sends you a feed based off of hashtags. Well, a lot of people give a lot of information in the hashtags. Plus, there's easy ways of geographical pinpointing. You use TikTok. I'm pretty sure it can easily pinpoint based on where you uploaded the video from, your geographical location.
Well, our phones
might
give
say,
away
my location's off, but yeah.
Hold up. Did we just go from Modern Warfare complaints to streaming to fucking OnlyFans to government TikTok conspiracies? What is this show?
Dude, we I don't know how we do it, but we do it, and we do it so well. All of it is connected.
Dude,
it's all connected.
We need to be less concerned about TikTok and other, China owning TikTok and spying on us than our own country scamming us constantly via social media, fucking hacking into our systems, hacking into bank accounts and hospitals and gaming industry, stealing our information. Like, what? Like, your concern is China, motherfucker. We're stealing from each other. We're hacking each other. We're watching each other. Fuck China.
The rabbit hole goes deeper. The rabbit hole goes deeper.
China's watching us. You're fucking watching us.
Everybody's watching everybody. Everybody's watching everybody and is denial of watching everybody. But no, I kind of get it from a somewhat government viewpoint. Not saying that they're in the right, but I kind of understand one of their concerns with it, because you're putting out a lot of information in that 60 seconds of making that video, locations, average time, how much, like, people that do it daily.
Well, it's the same reason when we were in the Navy, we were told that we weren't allowed to be on our phones.
Exactly.
Because it could give away the ship's position. The signal could give away our position.
Exactly. And that's a lot of information. Like, you think they don't know where you live after you upload your first TikTok? You're naive. They know where you live. And think about it. Because
everything has an IP address. Everything has an IP address. Everything goes through. So when you send that through, the receiver gets all that information that they received on their end from where you were at, the information you put in, like everything, the IP address, all of that goes through.
Yep.
But like I said before, my concern is not other countries. My concern is my own country full of people ripping each other off and stealing and hacking. So you fix that shit, and then I'll turn my concern to someone else.
That's not
where you start canceling shit. And it's not like I want to see. I could give a shit about TikTok. I think there's a lot of funny stuff on there, but I also think it has taken a culture that was already not so great in the content creation world and has made it even more toxic
for us because of what the things we search, we trend, and I came to a realization today. Here's another rabbit hole thought for you.
Real quick, real quick. Don't lose that thought, because I have a question before I forget it. When you first open your TikTok, you make an account. You have not clicked or liked anything, and you start swiping, and there's videos. What's that information fucking based off of?
Probably the people around you. I didn't
know any of those motherfuckers.
But they don't know that you don't. So you know how like you'll get like people near you might get ads based off of stuff. We've talked about it. You'll have a conversation with someone about something.
So like it's basically like YouTube, TikTok, all of Facebook. When you first make an account, it's basing all that of all your fucking internet searches and everything else you've clicked on, because everyone's buying it. That's why you have the I call it the button of lies, the one that you can click and it says basically, would you allow us to take your information and use it to sell for ads, to sell your information for ads and stuff, and you can click no on it, and I think that's just that's a lie.
It's just to make you feel better and feel like you have a say in the matter. Because if that was the case, you would not get so many specifically targeted ads like you do. And then your family members or friends around you would not get ads related to you. And I feel, and this is one of the other things I said, because my mom and I were talking about it, and she was like, she got an email about like hot streamers, and I felt so bad. She was like, why am I getting this? And I was like, it's the same reason I'm getting emails from like, for age groups 50 and up. And I'm like, they're sending the emails to the wrong people.
Oh man, you better be careful what you search.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't go out of my way and search, but because I'm on Twitch and the email is connected to Twitch, and if any of those content creators, for some reason that I follow, would unknowingly change their style of content, I messed up by going and just chatting maybe twice and spending more than 30 minutes in there just perusing. So the
This
algorithm
man said perusing.
perusing.
So
the algorithm takes that and memorizes, because what is,
how
let's be
arrogant
honest,
do you have to be with your vocabulary to say perusing?
perusing. But as far as the algorithm's concerned, what is just chatting? If we're realistic with each other, what is 90% of just chatting? Before they started separating it into categories.
More than chatting, I can tell you that.
Exactly. So as far as Twitch is concerned, before they sell off my information, oh, he's a male. He's not married on file. So as far as we're concerned, he's single. Hot chicks in your neighborhood? Email send.
Here's my complaint. And I think a lot of people would share my sentiment. All of that right there. They do all that work to like literally spy on us, to take our information and use it against us to get us to buy things, right? And to throw things like, look at this, look at that, look at that, these algorithms. But they can't do that same shit with dating apps, so you can get people similar to you. Get the fuck out of here.
Dating apps thrive on the longer you're on it, they want you on it longer. They say they want you to match, but they thrive.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't been on the dating app since about May or June of this year. Like I was like, I'm done with this shit. Because most of it's like, oh my God, I just want someone to take me on vacations 3 times a year. You have to make this much money and be 6'9", and if you don't own a house, don't talk to me. Like that's literally like 80% of the profiles. It's fucking disgusting.
I want to come back and use your own words against you. Streaming influencers leads to terrible dating apps. We went from the Call of Duty, this is your fault. I don't know how you can influence, but fix dating apps.
I think nerds have unintentionally created a very twisted online world.
We no, seriously, we have. And then that actually brings me back to what I was going to say initially. I realized that I was watching horror movies before the show started. I had it on in the background. I said, man, Koreans make amazing horror films. Japanese make amazing horror films. The Indonesians make amazing horror films. I do not find American horror films thrilling. Why? Until like Jordan Peele came around.
Dude, can we moment of just,
can we give him a round of applause, a cheer for Jordan Peele for stepping into the horror scene for the American market? Because here's my problem with American horror. Okay. It sucks. And I know some people are going to go, what are you talking about? It was amazing.
The first 2 Conjurings were the last horror movies that were made that truly felt like refreshing. Refreshing.
Like the Conjuring universe started strong, then it kind of teetered out,
and then it turned into what everything else is. And then along came Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
The comedian who apparently has a niche for horror.
Yeah. Some of the funniest people could probably tell the best horror stories. But what I mean is, look at the average. Like now we're kind of getting into a trend where we're tapping more into some supernatural-ish horror. There's the one that I think like Barbarians is coming out, and Bones and All kind of looks like it deals with like cannibalistic horror. I don't know the story behind it, but the average horror film in America is a slasher flick. The average horror show.
What it was is ever since the first 3 Screams, the first 2 being pretty iconic for what they were, they kind of just laid the groundwork for like what the algorithm would be for a horror movie, and no one else has really come close because Scream did it first, or they didn't do it first, but they kind of perfected that model and had the storyline and stuff that at the time was like, wow, this is really good. So yeah, every horror movie, it really
every
is
original American horror film, with the exception of the things Jordan Peele has made, has been slasher related. And a lot of people go, well, no, that's not true. What about these? What I'm talking, the movie not based off of a book. Like I'm not counting Dr. I'm not counting Stephen King or any adaptation from books because someone else created that. I'm talking a 100% original horror film. The American mainstream, for the most part, only knows slashers. And where am I basing this from? Look at Netflix for a good example. I say we, but I'm not part of that. The American mainstream loves murder documentaries.
Oh my God.
They love
Yes, they do.
hearing about murderers to the point we daggone near glorify them and give them TV shows. Most other countries believe in the supernatural, so they make supernatural horror.
Yeah, and then we
It's
make
mostly-
shitty ripoffs of it.
And then exactly, that's what I was going to say. The ones that we think, well, we did so-and-so. No, we basically remake something that another country made and we just slap a new name on it. That's all we do. But our own original stuff is based off of things that could realistically happen.
I don't know what
We
this
thrive
episode
off
is
of
anymore, but
murder.
I'm here for it. But yeah, the Grudge and The Ring. I had actually back several years ago, I had watched the original Japanese versions, and they're terrifying. Like they are insanely creepy.
Yeah.
But then the American versions, if you watch both and then contrast, like the American versions are just jump scares and slight creepiness on occasion, but
Mhm.
does not come close.
We don't know.
We don't know what
How-
fear is.
Yeah, we know how to imitate, but we imitate poorly. But everything that we've done that has been seen as like, okay, The Purge. As far as I know, The Purge is an original American horror.
Yeah, I don't know why it's classified that way because it's not scary. There's not even any jump scares. It's just I
It's our version of horror.
I
though.
like the first two purges. I did enjoy them. Like I liked the concept and what they were doing. But I never saw them. More of like maybe a thriller. But even a thriller
hard
should have some
because-
mystery to it.
Well, because you and I, we know what we categorize as
So much
as
for
horror.
that superior vocabulary.
I know it just went out the window there. I'm making up words. But remember what I said, American mainstream. That's horrifying to people. It's, I guess when I was talking to some ladies and I asked them like, what is their whole excitement about murder documentaries and stuff? For some reason, the thrill that it could really happen appeals to them. So The Purge fits as a category of horror because it could happen. Oh my goodness, this really could happen. That scare where you and I were like, well, that's a little far-fetched. Okay, next. But then we watch something supernatural that plays on the mind, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's fucked up. Wow. Like, you know, the imagination got carried away. But for some reason, we thrive off the stuff that could realistically happen. It's like we desire it and we glorify it. So we constantly make TV shows and movies about it. And those are the things that take off that, you know, people, because think about it. Look, don't believe me. You can just do your Google homework and look at the original American horrors. For the most part, they're slashers. They're murder. Anything that can have the chick running away, screaming and tripping and falling and getting stabbed 13 times.
American Horror, you're talking the show.
No, not American Horror Story. I'm talking just American genre of American horror. Anything we make original.
I was like, did we watch the same show?
No, American Horror Story is well, even American Horror Story, they touch into politics.
Yeah, I think. Well, American Horror Story has its hits or misses, but for the most part, they tell decent stories with plenty of mystery in it to keep
mystery,
you
yeah.
kind of brought in. And since they're television based versus like a streaming platform, there's limits to what they can do.
Mhm.
But with that said, I think for what they've done, I think it definitely stands out for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's storytelling.
Yeah. So I think I think as a people, we need to take a step back and reevaluate the things that we thoroughly enjoy, because I sat down and I realized, I was like, man, anytime I look at horror movies on like Shudder and they're like American made, I'm like, the supernatural ones are like so subpar. It's like we don't even put effort into it. But the slashers, man, we go above and beyond for those.
I think the reason that serial killer documentaries are so insanely popular is because we in America are so fucking bored ultimately with our good lives. And I know it feels like a lot of us don't have good lives, right? But compared to a large amount of the world, we have pretty damn good lives, to the point where we're always go, 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 go. Even if it's stressful as shit, you're certainly not bored because it's go, 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 go. You might hate it, but it's still what it is. And because of that, people are drawn into these documentaries about serial killers, because we have no time to sit down, and we really aren't feeling fear on a daily level. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to really worry about that would endanger our lives outside of, I hope I don't get in a car crash, or I hope this mole isn't cancer, that kind of thing. No one's trying to murder us or hurt us. Not, yes, there's like criminals and shit, but you know what I mean? Like we don't have to worry about that stuff, and people crave that because they don't have that fear in their lives. That's my thought process.
One, because our government is very good at making us think everything is okay. Two, we selectively.
There's like an asteroid coming for us right now. I'm like, our lives are perfect. But
seriously, like how many people knew that there was a planet killer asteroid hidden behind the sun that we couldn't see?
The fact that so many people, you think you were the only one, and you weren't. You were one of a handful of people that called me out like I fucking knew. Like, just because I have a telescope and a shitload of pictures, which, by the way, I learned this recently as a grown man, that you shouldn't tell too many people out loud in public or at work that you have a telescope and you take pictures, because apparently the first thing people assume is not
looking through a window.
You like astronomy and you're obsessed with planets and shit. Yeah. So
you know why? Because of the slasher, murder, horror.
Yep.
You just proved my point.
Jesus. I can't have anything.
No.
I'm a creep no matter what I do. No matter what my intentions, I'm a creep.
Yep. You just proved the point.
Documentaries like, he's tall and white. And
you'll be the next.
I know what he's doing with that telescope, and nothing good is coming out of that.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know this, but I actually have 2 degrees, and it's not something I talk about a lot. I've told a couple other people before, but before I was a nurse, I don't know if you remember the Navy or not, but I was in college in the Navy. And I did a shitload of math, which was really rough because we were always so busy. So we didn't have a lot of time to study. And then I finished that. I like all my basics for the most part in the Navy. When I got out, I got a bachelor. I finished a bachelor's degree in physics, and I had intended to do something with that. And then, life happens. I ended up having kids, and like, it didn't make sense. So I ended up choosing, nursing school. And I did that because a lot of my mathematics and sciences transferred over. So I kind of did like a little fast track through nursing school. Then I went into nursing school. That was a fucking hellhole. And one thing I learned about college is mostly teaching yourself shit. And then you go to a class, and then they regurgitate the information that you should have read. And then you take a test, and then, yeah.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, anyways, that was my experience, but yeah, I have 2 degrees. Don't ask me to do any of the math. It's been like 12 years. So I can't fucking do half of it anymore. But point being, I've always been extremely fascinated with astronomy and stuff, and telescopes and all that stuff. I've always been very curious and like very starry eyed at the sky.
But you couldn't see a planet killing asteroid.
And I couldn't find it. It's not the fucking movies. What movie was that with I think Morgan Freeman was the president. If it's the movie I'm thinking of, it was an asteroid or comet movie. But anyways, at the very beginning, some like no name fucking mediocre astronomer saw something and he's like, oh my God, I have to tell somebody. And then like nobody fucking believed him.
I think I think I know the movie you're talking about.
Until like the famous ones also saw it, and then they're like, oh, he's right.
Yeah, I know Netflix had a movie like that called Don't Look Up with like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, but this was like a movie a long time ago, and it started off. I
There's
guess like
movies.
I guess every Impact movie starts like that. Nobody astronomer like, oh my God, I have to tell someone.
Just say Armageddon. Everybody knows Armageddon.
Armageddon, yeah.
Just say Armageddon. Everyone's
Jesus.
like, oh. But no, like, yeah. So, well, still, once again, thank you for proving my point about the horror. But coming back to why we are the way we are, government gives us the false sense that everything is under control. And most people think that the big things that are happening in the world have no potential way of affecting them. When in actuality, if shit went sideways, your whole life could be turned upside down. But that takes people out of their comfort zone. So people refuse to acknowledge the fact of anything that could take them out of their personal comfort zone. Because the country would go in chaos if everyone honestly acknowledged that fact. If you went outside every day knowing that one of these countries decided nuclear bomb, and that's the first thought you have, would you want to step outside your house? Probably not. You'd want to be home all the time with your family, or just say, screw it, if the world's going to end, I'm going to stay here and play video games and anime because it doesn't fucking matter what I do anyway.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out at least happy.
Yep.
So for the most part, a lot of people just go out under this.
I just don't want to die until One Piece finish. Like, can we finish One Piece first?
Can we finish One Piece and then let the... But no, that's basically what it is. A lot of people just don't want to acknowledge the fact that life is not perfect and that there's so much shit outside of their personal life that's fucked up. So they just refuse to acknowledge it. That ties into, and this could be like a whole conversation for our other podcast, but it ties into the whole, when people ask you, oh, how are you doing? They're not actually expecting you to give them the laundry list of everything that's going on in your life. It's just how you're doing. And as soon as you start telling them, they're like, yeah, I didn't really care. I just was trying to be polite. So most people just say, oh, I'm good. Oh, man,
you never like ask them like, how are you doing? And then like you turn around, you just start crying. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I didn't care. Like, Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Needy much?
And we've all done it.
You asked me.
We've all done it. I've done it. People have done it to me. So I just know, like, when people ask me, how are you? I'm like, you probably don't really care. So
I don't know if I told you this story, but I had gotten in trouble at not in trouble, but kind of like talked to at work because unbeknownst to me, somebody was telling me good morning and I wasn't responding back to them. And apparently I did this every day. I'm not a morning person. Even if I wake up and I go to the gym and and I get to work, like my brain is struggling. I need a couple hours. There's been times where I'm not really awake till like 10 a.m. coffee or not. Like it just takes me a bit to wake up. I'm pretty sure I should be working nights and I should be a night person, but I fight it. But anyways, I got pulled aside. I was talked to like, hey, it's extremely rude of you to just not say good morning back to people or not be friendly back to people. And I was very confused because I felt like I was when I'm like awake, very, very polite to people and my coworkers, and
you just weren't awake.
And so, that just like, and it had happened a couple of times and I was like, what? And it's funny. Like I come in now and I put on a fake smile and I make myself look awake now when I come in, and people like their whole attitude towards me changes. It's like, you want me to come in and fake my personality while I'm waking up to give you that thing that you want that acknowledges your existence and your own ego. And it makes no fucking sense to me. But if I come in and I'm just not awake and I don't hear people say hello or whatever, they just like, he's rude. I'm like, I'm not fucking rude. Let me wake up. Like, God damn, what's it like living with you?
You know, you just gave me an idea for merch. I'm not going to put it out there because, you know, I don't want no one taking it. So if you guys want to see what this new merch idea is, make sure to visit our store, thegzshop.com. I'm going to write it down because it's a really good idea. And you just gave it to me. I'm totally going to go forward.
It's about that time anyways.
It's about that time. It's about that time. And then this will solve all of your problems in the future. Because we're going to put it on a mug. And all you got to do is walk around with that mug. And as long as they're above a 5th grade reading level.
I can have that mug on.
Yep.
But not this mug.
There you go. All you got to do is read the mug and all your problems will go away. So make sure to go check that out. But holy cow, I don't even know what this episode was.
This episode was everything.
This episode was a little bit of everything.
A theory of everything.
Which, by the way, guys, if you actually liked some of the little conversations we just had about other topics, go check out the Afterthoughts After Dark podcast and the Gunpowder Red. That's where we really deep dive into some of these topics, which actually we're overdue for having some of those. So we're definitely we should pick up some of those other topics.
And actually you can go to our website and like leave comments, suggestions, things you'd like to hear, that sort of stuff, requests as well.
And don't forget, you guys can submit feedback. You can submit audio clips that we could play on the future episodes. If you guys have an opinion, it's too long to write, so you want to send a voice clip, send us a voice clip. We'll listen to them and we'll air some of our favorite ones on future episodes. osn-media.com. Go check that out. You can find all of the podcasts, all of our links to everything we do, all in one nice, nifty little spot. I will be trying to bring back transcripts for these episodes. So if you guys want to read some stuff, because you're like, did Warner's really say that? You can go in the transcript and
I
be
guarantee you,
I
really
said
said
that.
that.
He really said that. It's in print.
Dude, there's times I've listened to clips and been like, I can't believe I said that.
Hey, but you know, that's the joy of the podcast. You know, that's the joy of the podcast. So let us know your thoughts, guys. Make sure to go and check us out. Visit us on social media. Hit us up on Patreon, patreon.com/OSN Media. Get all these episodes early and ad free. Anyway, you guys have been amazing. Stay safe out there. And we will catch all you wonderful people on the next podcast.